All right, friends and fans, welcome back. Greg's Mobile Automotive AC and Repair. So this is going to be the second video in the series on the 68 Ford pickup truck that I'm working on. And last time I updated you guys, told you I had the gauge out and showed you guys how I tested that. That's all good. So today, this maybe end up being a two-part video. We'll just see how long it gets. But I have the entire harness out of the truck now. And so I'm just going to show you guys what the harness looks like out of the truck. And then I'm going to show you guys what the truck looks like, what all I had to get into and take out and get out of the way so that I can get all the wiring out. Those of you who are familiar with older vehicles and stuff like that, especially pickup trucks, there's not a lot to the wiring, but there's still some attention to detail stuff. So the reason why this took me a little bit longer than maybe some other people is I didn't get in there and just start hacking and slashing and just cutting wires and pulling stuff out of the way and, sort it out later. I went in and removed the harness as intact as I possibly could because there's pieces that I need maybe to transfer over connector wise, things like that. And just because that's just how I do things. I find it's a lot better if I go in and I actually take my time and disassemble something correctly. For one, it shows me exactly where everything was laid out originally. Usually that's the case unless customer or somebody's gotten in there and done a bunch of custom work. So it's really beneficial to be able to see this is how it was originally laid out. And that was the case with this pickup truck here. So give me a second, I'll turn you guys around and then you can see the harness. I've got it laid out here on the floor. So see if this thing's going to cooperate here. Give me just one moment. All right, there we go. Okay, so here we are. And I've got the harness laid out kind of the way it would be orientated in the truck. And I put the gauge cluster down there so you guys could kind of get a reference point of where some of these things are. Keep in mind this isn't exactly to scale, but it'll give you a pretty good representation. I'll walk you guys through it here just give me a second. All right, so starting off, this main harness cluster that you see right here that starts here and goes through, there's the fuse block, there's the headlight switch, ignition switch, windshield washer, wiper motor switch. What's not on here is the heater control because it stayed in the dash. I just unplugged it from the back. The wiring for that is actually right here. That's the two wires there. Here's your cigarette lighter, flasher module, things like that. You come over here. There is your connection. I'm not sure what this is. This was just laying in there disconnected. So I don't know what it was going to, or if it was just an option, a factory option that was part of the harness that never got installed. Looking at the connectors, it doesn't look like it's ever had anything in it, but I've got the wiring diagram, so I'll be able to chase that down. Now, what was really cool about this, even as old as this truck is, they had given you some consideration of the fact that you may need to replace a piece of the harness. And so they actually gave plugs on the passenger side where this goes through. This is the plug going through the firewall. And then all that wiring goes out, connects to your starter relay, goes on, and there's a connection there for the alternator wires that come up that I did leave those hooked up to the alternator for now. I'll pull those out later. And then up over there next to the fan pedestal is your headlight and turn signals for the right-hand side turn signal stuff. Come back through here. Again, like I said, there's your fuse block. All the connections there. This here would be the connection for the instrument panel connector along with the other wire right there. And then these two wires right here, the black wire here, hope that's showing up. It's black with I think it's got a blue stripe on it. That's the wiring that I was talking about that I would have to fish through. It goes up through the A pillar in front of the door and then goes across, and then one wire drops down through the B pillar behind the door. That's the orange wire right here. That is your fuel tank sending unit wire. This other wire goes up into the roof and goes across. That feeds your dome light. So both of those stay in the cab right there. And I got those fished out. And actually, it's not going to be that bad to fish it back in. The headliner in the truck comes down fairly simply. I'll show you guys that here in just a moment. One of the things I wanted to make note of, these old headlights right here. Again, I love that this is an old school project, and it's making me kind of scratch my head on some stuff. When I went to remove this, this screw right here and this beauty plate that says lights on it, that's on the outside of the dash. This whole switch assembly is on the inside. And the way you remove it is there's a pull handle for your headlights. You pull the lights on. Once you get it out so far, this button right here, when you push in on that button, right there next to my thumb, that button will allow you to pull the handle the rest of the way out and release it. And then if you can see the detail there, there's a flat tip screwdriver that you put in there and unscrew it, and then you take this off. Now what's really cool about these old headlight switches is if you see this rotary section right here, this is the exact same type of a rheostat that I was talking to you guys about last week when I was showing you how I tested the gauges, just on a much smaller scale. Now, as I said, I have to replace this headlight switch, and the reason why is because if you look right here, you see this spring that's busted out or kind of undone. That is part of the rheostat windings that at some point has come undone. And so I'm just going to replace it. I found one, believe it or not, there's actually a lot of stuff available for this vehicle. This headlight switch, I believe I've got coming from Rock Auto. It was 26 bucks, I think it was, on Rock Auto. Exact same style. It's the STD standard part is the manufacturer. Same ones that I got the some other switch from. I can't remember now. Anyways, so that's coming. The windshield wiper switch is good. The ignition switch is good. I'm going to clean that up a little bit. As you can see here, this is a little bit chewed up, but it's not still functional. So anyways, that's the harness in its entirety. Now here is that is the harness that ran along the chassis and out to the tail lights. Now what I have not removed yet from the vehicle is the left and right tail light pigtails. I'll get those pulled out once I get the rest of this other stuff fished in, and then determine whether or not I had to replace anything there. These clips are what holds these chassis harness to the frame, and they're metal, and they're actually a pretty cool little clip. I was able to get most of them off without any damage, but I did find a source to replace some, so I'm going to get those replaced as needed. So, okay, that's the harness in its entirety, laid out there. So not too bad. Like I said, it took me a little bit to get to it. Let's go into the truck right here, and then I'll show you guys exactly what it was that I had to remove. Now, before we get inside, let me turn the light on here, and I'll show you. If you guys remember, when I started off the wiring videos, all the wiring that was run through here, all along through there, all that's been removed, all the plugs. I have grommets and weather plugs that are going to go back in through there. There's a piece of harness that I didn't point out. It's laying down right over here. It came through the firewall on its own little plug. Here it is right here. And this is where it went to oil pressure, water temperature, and I believe RPM, or no, not RPM. I'm not sure what the other one is. I'll have to look that up. That one went through on its own, and at some point the customer had problems with the gauges, and so that's why they had installed their own gauge cluster. Looking at some of this wiring, I can see why he might have had some problems. And you know, some of this wiring is like really, really good shape for as old as it is, and then some of it, you know, it looks like this. So this was the reason why I opted to go ahead and replace the harness and just update as much as I can. Now, there are some pieces of harness that may still be reused. Like I said, I'm pretty confident that I'm going to reuse that entire piece of harness that hooks to the back of the clusters, just because I was able to test it and inspect it, and there's no no breaks in the insulation, nothing's brittle, nothing, the wiring's not hard like it's been overheated or anything like that. Now, one of the things I did notice when I was fishing the wires through for the fuel sending unit and for the dome light is there are some places in this harness where this wire has been rubbed through or skinned. Some insulation's broken, things like that. So I'm really glad I opted to pull this wire out and look at it. Something I thought was really cool. You guys can see that. I'll try and get it on camera there if I can get this thing to focus a little bit. Watch my fingers there. Come on, focus. Almost had it. There it is. Oh, come on. FOMOCO. Let me turn that around so you guys can read that maybe in the right direction here. This is the original wiring. Come on, focus. Come on, there we go. This is the original wiring from the factory. And that right there where it says FOMOCO, that's not some crazy yuppie drink. That is Ford Motor Company, FOMOCO, FOMOCO. So this stuff is all original to the truck when it was rolled off the assembly line. Okay, let's get inside the cab like I said, and I'll show you guys what it looks like inside of there, and then I'll probably wrap this video up and maybe make the part 2 of this will be the harness unboxing of the painless harness that I've got that's going to go in and replace all this. All right, so here we go. If you guys remember the other video, if not, you can go back and watch it. Try and get some lighting there. There was all the wiring and all that mess that was in there is now nothing left. This piece of harness right here that stayed is attached to the windshield wiper motor itself. Now, once I get things connected and I get ready to do power tests, that's one of the first things I'm going to do is test this windshield washer motor. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to replace it. I've already identified a replacement part for it. And that's just the way they were back in that day when they made these. They let me put this light here somewhere so I can get some light down there. They just wired it into the motor right there, and then made a connection into the switch. Now, what was really cool about this, because at first I was thinking I wasn't going to be able to, I thought maybe I'd have to cut wire or something, but I didn't have to. All right, got my light situated there. This plugs into the windshield wiper motor control switch, control into the back of it, or into the bottom of it, if you will. And there are 3 slots that they allowed for you to be able to get in there with a small pick or a small pocket pry bar, sometimes called a screwdriver, and kind of work it up. And that's what I was able to do. So that was really helpful as far as not having to cut wire and do all that stuff. I had to remove the radio. Customer had a radio installed, I think by his son-in-law. And so his son-in-law had put in, thankfully, had wired me in a plug so I was able to unplug it from the back of the radio and then just pull that radio out. And then the antenna, that's the original antenna cable plugged right into the back of the radio that was installed by his son-in-law. And I had to remove the glove box just so that I could get access to in there to get all this wiring out. So it's not really a hard project. It's just something that's, needs to take some detail. That's all. So that's what it looks like with everything out of it. When I'm done with it, it'll, all be put back in the way it's supposed to, run back into the loops and everything that was there. I was able to pull this trim piece off here, trying not to put too much light on it because it'll reflect. There you go. This trim piece came off here very simply. I pulled this corner piece off. There we go. Pulled that corner piece off and pulled the trim off of here and was able to work this down. I had to be really careful with this. This is the original headliner that came in this truck. And it's a kind of like a press board or a particle board with a vinyl covering on it. I did find another one, and I'm going to talk to the customer, see if he wants me to replace that. And it was about 160 bucks, again, on Rock Auto. So I was really surprised at that. Anyways, that's kind of where I'm at with the truck. This is an update for that. And I am going to go ahead and make this a two-part video. So this will be just the harness removed and everything I had to remove to get it out. And then the next video I'll shoot probably tomorrow afternoon, and it will be the unboxing of the new harness that I'm going to replace, as well as some of the accessory items and stuff that I bought. Just things that I wanted to have to be able to do the job correctly. I'll go through everything and I'll lay it out and give you my opinions on some of the stuff that I've got and why I did it. All right, so that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching. We've got a couple new subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing to the channel. Welcome. And again, do what you got to do down below. Hit the like, subscribe, leave some comments. I did respond to the one comment I got about where I get some of my testing equipment or connectors and stuff like that. If that wasn't what you were asking me about specifically, hey, hit me up again. Let me know. I'm more than willing to share your information as to where I'm getting stuff. So anyways, if I'm doing good, thumbs up. If I'm doing bad, thumbs down. At least tell me why. So like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you want to see more of this stuff. If I'm the only one that's watching it, well, that's okay. Someday, somewhere, somebody's going to need this, hopefully. So anyways, thanks. Take care. Talk to you all later.